Good morning, students. From your Flamingo books, we are doing poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers by Edwin Rich. About the poet Edwin Rich. Edwin Rich was born in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. She is widely known for her involvement in contemporary women's movement as a poet and theorist. She has published 19 volumes of poetry, 3 collections of essays, and other writings. The poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers addresses the constraints of married life a woman experiences. Adrian Rich reveals how a timid person like Aunt Jennifer creates energetic, chivalric tigers. Aunt Jennifer undergoes bad experiences in her married life. The poet reveals the ordeals and hardships of the aunt's married life. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across the screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree, they pace in shriek chivalric certainty. Now, the poet Edwin Rich tells us about Aunt Jennifer. She tells us that Aunt Jennifer is a victim of her husband's tyranny. She is deeply affected by the ordeals in her married life. So she is doing what? Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across the screen. So Aunt Jennifer is weaving a tiger on a screen on a panel, and when she is weaving this with a wool, she is creating an image of a tiger, and it says Aunt Jennifer's tiger. That is, she is weaving this, and this is the creation of Aunt Jennifer's imagination. This is her thing. So she is weaving this tiger and showing what prance, that is, the tigers are moving, prancing quickly across the screen, across that limited sphere, the limited cloth where she's weaving this. Bright topaz denizens of the world of green. Now, when she is making this, she is making this with a woolen thread, and she has used the colors of bright topaz, that is yellowish brown colors, the colors of tiger's skin. And she is making this bright topaz. They are shining yellow. The colors are shining yellow of the colors of topaz, and she is doing what? Bright topaz denizens of the world of green. And these tigers, these are the dwellers, denizens, dwellers, inhabitants of the world of green, that is the jungle. They live in this jungle. So she's making this tiger, she's weaving this tiger. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. Now this tiger, the wild, the one who lives in green, they are not afraid. They are not afraid of whom? They are not afraid of the men sitting behind the tree to look for them, to hunt them. Why? Because they're very much conscious about the physical strength and power. So they're not afraid. The tigers are not at all afraid of the men hiding behind the trees. They move, they pace, that is move, in sleek, elegant, chivalric, honorable, brave, certainty, that is confidence, majesty. So these tigers, when they move in their own world, in the green forest, they move fearlessly, they move with dignity, they move with honor, they move with confidence. And the aunt is making these tigers. Why? Because aunt is scared of her husband, scared of a husband. She's terrified of the husband, and she's oppressed by the husband's dominance. So Aunt Jennifer has created these fearless tigers to convey her hidden longing, her desire to be fearless, carefree, and dignified like her own creation, the tigers. Aunt Jennifer's fingers, fluttering through her wool, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So, Aunt Jennifer, who is weaving tigers on the panel, as she is moving her hands with the wool, she is finding that mere small needle difficult to pull. She is not able to pull that needle. Why? Because the weight of years of her married life is lying heavy on her hand. And what weight it is? The weight of the ring, the wedding ring. The wedding ring that symbolizes the piousness in marriage, the sacredness of a relation, the sacredness of a relation of a women and men. So that ring has become weight, that ring has become massive. It is heavy. It is heavy on the hands, on the fingers of Aunt Jennifer, and she is not able to pull that needle. Her hands are trembling, they're shivering. And this is not because of physical weakness, this is because of the mental suppression. And the poet says what? The massive weight of uncle's heavy band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. So that ring is on the hands, on the fingers of Aunt Jennifer, and that wedding ring has lost all its significance, because now that wedding ring, the ring that was known for its pious and sacred relationship of a women and men, it has become a symbol of suppression. And that aunt feels that the heavy pressure of the ordeals of her marriage life, and she feels oppressed by the husband's dominance over her. And though this paragraph, there's no presence of uncle in this paragraph, but in his absence, that she's so suppressed that even she's finding that mere needle to be pulled, her hands are shivering, her hands are trembling. Why? Because she seems to have lost her identity. The freedom that she dreams of through her art is symbolic of her oppressed self. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. When Aunt is dead, that is, the death of Aunt is symbolic of her complete submission, her suppression, her helplessness. Her terrified hands will lie still ringed with ordeal she was mastered by. That is, Aunt Jennifer was surrounded by the ordeals of her marriage. The poet uses the word ringed in order to convey that she is overpowered by these ordeals. It not only indicates the sacred bond of marriage, it also means encircled. So the poet says that how Aunt Jennifer is a victim of racial, social, and gender injustice and oppression. And then he says, her terrified hands will lie still ringed, that is, domineering nature of her husband, with ordeals she was mastered by. That while she was living, she was mastered by her husband, but then after death also, her hands are terrified, for even death would not be able to liberate her from the chains of her mental suppression. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. That is, even after the death of Aunt Jennifer, the tigers, her tigers, that will go on prancing, proud and fearless. It tells us that art survives death. Human beings are subject to death. We are mortal beings, whereas artistic creations are deathless. It also shows that the longing to be free and fearless lies eternal in the human heart. So poet says what? Poet says that this is symbolic of the dispassionate and unconcerned attitude of the male towards the desire for freedom among women. So Aunt Jennifer's art, that is her tigers that she has woven, will survive long after her death. But the social environment remains unaffected, arrogant, and ferocious towards the death of Aunt. They are callous towards the death of Aunt.